But Undying and Medusa don't have any stuns, so I feel like Carlo can just go like early boots, tangos, and pull waves and look to be a bit more passive and farm that way. Don't actually lane into each other.
If they don't go down the Lina route in the 18th, is there any other heroes you would be hoping to see them pick?
Not really. Can they lash? Maybe. I don't know. Like I just feel like it ticks so many boxes. It's a Krish comfort hero. It's a tombstone hitter. It can burst down a Rubik or a Mars, and you've got range against the Medusa. It's just really solid,
Dire
and you've
team
got the
banned.
bans to be able to get rid of it next.
Phantom Assassin.
PA, okay, really aggressive for that lane. I mean, we love a PA Grimstroke lane, especially against a Mars, right? And one of these more strong laners, but not super strong if you're able to abuse like a level 2 timing. So let's see if she goes like the Orb of
10
Corrosion
seconds
style of
remaining.
build. They might even try lane for the very beginning of this on TNC. Never
5
know.
seconds
I think you
remaining.
definitely should if you're with a toss lineup. I think the amount of extra damage you can get out of tag team is ridiculous. So I like this from TNC, although I think it now does like a PA toss lane sounds kind of weird. So then they're going to go toss Doom. And again, I kind of mentioned my concerns about that before. Now even more difficult, I think, to the Undying. But like you said, probably just look to pull the wave and kind of sacrifice a lane. So Deuce is going to get a lot of farm out of that. And now we are looking for opposition
Radiant
twos,
team
both for
banned.
Krish and also Mr. Mercury.
Dire team banned.
Lena gone. What a surprise. I don't know why they didn't pick it. I think it was just an amazing pick, and I'm not sure exactly what's left for them. I guess Invoker actually is left. I mean, something that's going to enable the PA quite heavily as well with the alacrities. So I
10
feel like Summit
seconds
need to get rid
remaining.
of that now, and they do. So what's left? I mean, Ember Spirit is pretty much his only other like real comfort hero, and it's not an amazing Ember game.
Why? Why don't you like the Ember this game?
I mean, Grimstroke enables it, right? But it's not really a tomb hitter. It doesn't deal with the
10
Medusa that
seconds
amazingly.
remaining.
And I feel like you don't have enough.
5
I guess it's good
seconds
tempo,
remaining.
right? Like you've got a Doom and a PA that want to be sitting back and farming. So actually, you're right. It might actually be a pretty decent Ember Spirit game just because they need something that's going to pair together with this Grim and Tusk, and the pool is running thin.
Yeah, I think you're just looking for. I want a tempo hero because I think PA Doom can be pretty farm intensive. You're going to need a way to be able to combine with the Inkswell. I think that's the main thing. You've got the lane, of course, with the PA Grim. Doom, I guess, is actually okay, like Blink War Stomp into Inkswell, but I really like another hero. I think we both value the Grimstroke very heavily, especially that Ag Shard. So if you can just have multiple heroes that you can give the Ag Shard over to, then it can make your game a whole lot easier. So Ember,
Dire team pick.
the Void, I don't know if they quap. They're
Can't
going to
they
have...
just Pango? Can't they just Pango, man? I still feel like it's good. Swashbuckle with a Tusk, pretty great.
Radiant team pick.
The sack.
What do you lane into this? Like, I think it would have been a decent Snapfire game, but they've banned it out themselves. A mid snap, this is what I'm saying.
10
Do
seconds
they
remaining.
Death Prophet? No, they banned it.
5
What
seconds
do you actually
remaining.
lane into this? You can't sniper.
I'm just looking at heroes that I feel like could fulfill the role that they're lacking. I don't think there's many.
Tempo, aggression that
Yeah.
not going to get stomped in lane. I feel like that's the issue, right? There are heroes that can fill one, but not both.
Oh, yeah. And
So, yeah, what do you do?
that can kind of be the issue sometimes when you have this 24th pick. Like sometimes there's really, you need a lot at the end.
You may now
They do still
select
go
your
for the Ember
heroes.
Spirit, so it's...
I mean, he had a bad lane last game, and they were able to make it work, right? Because of the rotations coming through from people like Carlo and Mavis. So maybe they're just putting faith in that to happen again. They're like, look, just don't feed. Don't get too overly confident. Make sure you're being very vocal and calling for us to come and help when you really need it. And don't mess up your bowl refill again. So I still think that this Undying has the potential to have an amazing game, just because you don't have a real egg hitter, not egg hitter, tombstone hitter. It's going to enable the Leshrac quite heavily. Not as much as the Wyvern, of course, but you're not really needing to worry about any kind of BKB piercing disable as much. And so the Soul Rip is just going to have a really solid impact. Still feel like Summit have a pretty good draft, man. Like,
And
in terms of like ticking off all the boxes, they tick off more in my eyes.
do you mention the Bok Tusk?
No.
The 3 Tusk. So
Okay, I'm going Summit.
everyone, Mr. Gonad really does not like a position 3 Tusk. So like it really doesn't like a 3 Tusk. So that's why it was the instant answer in the Summit after he saw that. I feel like for TNC, they're going to have a big BKB timing. I think there's going to be a lack of damage on Summit. As soon as TNC get BKBs, if they can win like that fight and the fight after, I think they're going to be in prime position. You're Radiant. Still, I feel like Dai is much better than what it used to be for Roshan, but Radiant, you get those 2 fights, you get the ages, you can go from there. I think their lane in regards to PA Grim is going to be really strong. That's one thing I'm worried about for Summit, how they're able to be able to combat that lane. So I guess we will find out. Of course, we have to give a big shout out to all our lovely partners as well. Of course, none of this would be possible without them. You know, we've got
Prepare
Mate,
for
the official energy drink, Samsung, the official monitor.
Is it Mate?
Mate is the official energy drink. Samsung, the official monitor, and 188bet, the official betting partners of CDPC. You are right. It's gonna.
It feels more
what would I do?
natural to us, you know?
Yes. All right.
Or double ward at the exact same time as Carlo looks to breach the high ground. I mean, it wouldn't be a CDPC game without any kind of early aggression coming through, but TNC get the early D ward off.
CDPC.
CDPC.
Say really. It's good tongue twister.
I love CDPC.
So what?
CDPC with the BKB.
All right.
30
So
seconds to battle.
talk to me
So I
about-
still hate this Tusk 3,
yeah.
but I'm trying to justify it, this game in particular. Maybe just because they went for this PA, they're like, look, they've got a lineup that can look to get aggressive-ish onto us, and I don't think they're going to give us the luxury of having a PA and a Doom free farming. So we need to switch the Tusk to being a bit more of the active hero, and like the Doom is going to need to be active, right? So I don't know, like I feel like it just would have been a little too passive if they went 3 Tusk.
Ooh.
Or bounties, okay, we like that.
That's a big advantage for someone to start. Mercury's, I mean, as soon as the creeps hit, is probably going to have 500, close to 500 gold towards the instant bottle rush.
I'm still going Summit.
Ah, yes, after the fall. Yeah, I'm still going TNC.
No, I did it instantly after
Yeah.
the Tusk.
Yeah, but definitely the full bounties is not going to make you feel too bad about the prediction.
No.
Easy predict.
All right, well,
So are you going to get me a Samsung monitor this time when you're wrong at our little prediction contest?
that's not going to happen. I mean, I do still have to get you the mate.
You do?
I will do that
Very
now.
disappointed that you do.
Oh yeah, so disappointing. I will do that now. I have we got a nice little discount as well, 30% off.
Oh.
So you love to see it. Make sure you guys also utilize that 30% off. Can't Carlo? Okay, so we were kind of theory crafting, I suppose, in the draft at how this top lane would work. Do you feel like there's any differences now with a position 3 Tusk, or they're still going to have to kind of play the lane in regards to just pulling and avoiding the Undying?
I think you should just be pulling and avoiding the Undying. I mean, the lane's pushed pretty deep back towards the Radiant tier 1 at least, right? But right now, Shazam's doing a pretty good job of just getting a lot of these denies off and preventing Bok from being able to farm. I mean, this is why I hate the 3 Tusk, right? You don't have the greatest right-click damage, so you're not able to secure too many kills in lane. Like, he's got a 20 right-click disadvantage against the Undying. That's pretty significant.
Ah, yes, just burn his mana.
Oh, okay. Well, that might actually just win them the lane, to be honest, right? Like, to burn 100 mana every 18 seconds against an Undying that wants to be spamming Decay against 2 Strength Heroes, that's such a difference maker.
Yeah, honestly, that's one thing that I must say, Summit, they didn't block any of their camps. Like, sometimes we see both the hard small camp blocked up and then like an observer ward placed by your outpost to get rid of another camp, and they haven't done any.
I can understand keeping theirs unblocked just because you want to be able to go for these pulls to be able to reset the equilibrium, considering you're up against this lineup that probably should be pulling the entire creep wave through to the lane to enable the Tusk to farm. But yeah, not blocking up that that other camp is a pretty big deal, right?
So we see bottom lane, Yoei and Mavis. Grimstroke PA combined together against the Mars and the Rubik. Honestly, was expecting TNC to get a little bit more aggressive as soon as they hit their level 2s, but they're wanting to play this lane passive, it looks like. A Ring of Health is already queued up for Yoei.
I'm not sure how big of a fan. I mean, we saw last game how farmed Crush can get in the lane if you give him the freedom to. And if you're not going to go aggressive like I thought they probably should have last game with a Juggernaut Grimstroke lane, then you're definitely not going to do it with a PA Grimstroke lane where you're going this more passive Ring of Health build. So I feel like Crush is just on track to have a really free game again, at least for the first 10-15 minutes.
And it looks like the mid lane is having a pretty good game as well to start on Mercury. It's in a bit different of a matchup into the Ember Spirit instead of the Storm Spirit in game 1, but it's like Chris is having honestly a better time though. Like we haven't even seen any support rotations, unfortunately. He's going to waste his time trying to pick up the bounty rune to help out with the resources. He might be in trouble, Krish. They're going to push him away from the water room. Trezam dropping the tombstone. Krish going to be able to hold back Mercury, though.
Supposed to farm with this. I mean, he's trying to book his way towards the water in on the bottom side, but even that one's going to be covered.
Has been killed.
Mercury there. I mean, you do have Mavis starting to make the rotation through, so at least it should be the Lesh not getting the water rune, but he might still. Okay. Some very relatively poorer movements coming through from TNC this game, that's for sure.
Is this
Felt
where
like every single time the supports moved, it was a winner.
Is this where a tactical feed comes into play? Although you kind of don't want to do it for first blood, but yeah, you
not for first blood. I mean, you're already losing all 3 lanes, so I think anything that's just going to accelerate that is not ideal.
it's the quiet. They're just letting everything brew. 2,000 net worth lead for Summit. I guess for them quietly being able to go a very, very big net worth lead at the early phase. But we were definitely both mentioning that TNC their lineup
Radiant's
is...
top tower is under attack.
Honestly, I thought the safe lane was going to go a lot better, but it's, like you said, Doom, PA, you're going to take some time. The tempo is really going to come through from the Ember Spirit throughout the early game, combined with the Grimstroke as well. But I must say, I'm a bit surprised they're not playing this bottom lane aggressive.
I think the fact that you've changed this Doom to be the position 4 also changes other things, right? Like, are you really wanting your Ember, Doom, and Grimstroke to be the ones making rotations? Probably not. Like, what is a Doom actually adding to that rotation, right? Like, he's doing his best to try and influence the water rune situation, as going to try and protect up here on the top side. Oh, Mercury still ends up bottling it, but might fall down here. Coming through.
Oh, Krish, he might be killed off though. Telekinesis under the tower. Still got the Remnant to retreat out. Now, Box snowballed under. Mercury still got some mana to play with. He lost the regen. Box actually going to step back up. TNC, they brought 4 heroes to the battle as Mavis was going to try and charge his way into the middle, but the Tombstone, they dealt the split away from the Grimstroke. It's going to be Trezam fighting first, but they can keep chasing down Carlo as well. Gonna have to deal with the Tombstone Scorched Earth in a couple of seconds to try and help with that movement speed advantage, but he will not get enough distance in our Bok. He too is going to be under the pump. They will not be able to chase him down, so Summit Gaming find 2 kills.
They were so close to being able to land so much, right? It was good that they were able to remove the regen buff, but yeah, Krish really would have loved to have that in the laning stage. And again, it's just another situation comparable to last game. 1,000 net worth differential in all 3 lanes, and when you consider the amount of time that Box spent away from this lane, not actually getting anything, it's a pretty big deal. I mean, Unknown's just going to continue to free farm.
How are the stacks looking? Double the hard. Any of the ancients? Yeah, double the ancients as well. Mercury's going to take one of them. So, looks like Summit, not only have they done a very good job in all their lanes, but also making sure they look to try and help out with Medusa's rapid farming rate.
Also gone. Made sure to do it after the 7-minute mark. I love that efficiency. So getting a nice early Fairies trinket for a Leshrac, probably one of the best items that you could hope for.
What do we feel like Summit are able to do with this net worth lead? Who's kind of the one hero that they can continue to propel this good start with?
Honestly, having to think about it, but the reason I'm a little quiet here is just considering what the
Dire are scanning.
mindset was with
Radiant
these
structures
quick buy
are
items that you've
fortified.
got queued up. Like, I know they love going into the Yule Scepter as Yoe, he's actually being stalked here by Crush,
Radiant's
who's
bottom
just
tower
underneath
is
the
under
Radiant
attack.
Vision though. But it's
Dire's
not as
middle
good of a
tower
Yule
is
Scepter
under
game as
attack.
last time around, right? Like, you
Mid
don't
lane,
have any...
Krish. It's going to be onto CZY. Use of the Arcane Rune should be able to chase him down. It's got 2 more Remnants available. It's going to use the last one to close the distance and find TNC's
Radiant's
first blood.
bottom tower has fallen.
But you get what I mean, right? Like, Yule Scepters on
Dire's middle
both
tower
the
is under attack.
Leshrac and the Mars. I can understand the Lesh. Mars, not so much, right? Like, what exactly are you interrupting? What are you exactly setting up for with the Yule Scepter? It's really only able to be used offensively against the Ember Spirit now.
Mercury? Gonna be in trouble. Carlo and Bok trying to close the distance. Simultaneously in the river, they do kill off Mavis.
Top tower is under attack.
Mercury's not going to be an easy one to bring down, though, as Bok chucked further into the river, does get out of the radius of the Split Earth, spears off the mark as well. Now, Trezam's beelining to the neighborhood. It's only level 1 in Tombstone, and well, it's not even in range as well to get some zombies spawning, so... I guess Summit, though, that is a successful use of the arena, so you get the kill onto the support and a D-ward as well.
It's still a 5k advantage, man. That's the thing that I'm
Yeah.
looking at. Like, this is an early 5k advantage with a Medusa lineup. Like, Unknown, again, he is free farming. There's only so many times you could say that without sounding like a broken record, but it's exactly what's happening. You've just gone for this, like, 0 aggression early game build with rotations that haven't worked out to enable Krish. It's, again, going to rely on some pretty significant outplays for them to be able to come back into this one.
Which... can definitely happen. I think for me, I'm just looking at how they utilize this Ember and Grimstroke pairing, because we kind of saw the rotations. You know, TNC was starting to flirt with this possibility of like Ember Grim and maybe a +1 being Bok on the Tusk. So he's probably going to be the one that needs to continue to make some plays, and giving Carlo a little bit of time to especially find his level 6 is going to be important, and maybe that Blink Dagger as well can help out with some of their initiation issues. But it's just... I guess the concern for me, though, is like TNC, how do you take tower? So how do you open up the map to really set up for these pickoff potentials?
You don't. It's the real answer to that, as Summit takes another stack in this ancient camp.
blame
although
Trezam?
Be careful.
Under attack.
They got a
Crush.
smoke coming through here as well.
Oh my god, just blows up one. I don't know how they
Don't
kill
use that.
Unknown.
I don't know. He's only got 1 point in the mana
Radiant's
shield.
bottom tower
Be able to
is
make it
under
back to the
attack.
safety of the tier 2. Maybe Krish goes for Trezam instead. 3 points in the slide. Not enough
Dire's middle
burst.
tower is
So,
under attack.
again, across the map, we do see Mavis going down.
So they've got tower taking issues. Their lanes weren't as good. They're incredibly greedy. They're not able to make early plays, and they have
Radiant's
trouble
middle
killing the
tower is
Medusa.
under
Like, I feel like
Yeah.
there's just so many issues with TNC's draft, and it feels like they need a way to like burst the Undying 100 to 0 or a Rubik 100 to 0 to be able to start a lot of these engagements. And I honestly don't think the Ember Spirit and Grimstroke are going to be enough. It's actually going to rely on like a Blink Dagger from Bok, or hell, even the PA just having an impact at the start of these team fights, just for that burst damage before they're able to react. Like, if you can Flesh Golem and drop the Tombstone, that's a win, in my eyes, if you're like committing a full-on gank to try and kill an Undying to start off.
I do think the one, like, other silver linings, the fact that
A tithe to the impurity.
PA still flawless. I know it's, well, top of the net worth in regards to TNC's heroes, so it's not like he's been completely shut out of this game. He's going for this kind of Battle Fury rush, Brown Boots, Wand, and he's only got one more component. Crush is under the ward.
Right.
Fox going to try and close the distance. He can use a defensive arena if required. They're even going to cancel the TP. It looks like Crush still will go down nonetheless. Arena used at the last second. Now Mercury's able to close. The Doom comes out, but the Pulse Nova's still ticking. They have to respect the damage from the Leshrac. Careful about diving under the tower. That will not be required as Chris rotates over. Slight is enough to secure the kill. CCY actually goes back in with the Remnant, but off to the side, they're able to bring down Trezam. So there we go. TNC find 3, and I think they might be able to add it to a 4th. No, CZY gets ya. No, real quick, what happened? I swear Lesh cancelled his
Rubik
TP.
cancelled TP.
Okay, that was Rubik. It
cancelled.
looked like Lesh's.
Yeah.
I was so confused.
It would have been very
Dire's
different, of
middle
course,
tower
if
is under
Rubik was
attack.
there from the beginning and if Undying had a TP. He just had to walk up through the entire Radiant lineup, meant that he wasn't able to drop the Tombstone. He's just got 1 point in the Soul Rip, which I'm kind of surprised about, to be
Radiant's
honest. I mean, I
middle
know he's
tower is
against
under attack.
a couple of strength heroes in his lane, but realistically, that doesn't really change too much of anything. You don't have the mana pool as a position 5 to be able to spam that stuff out. He's actually going for power treads as well on the Undying. Very odd build.
Radiant are scanning.
What do you mean? What's wrong with power treads at the Ag shot, huh?
Uh-huh.
Oh, what the hell? What's that? Come on, man.
I mean,
Crush? Aggressive Yules, but he's off the mark with the spear.
certainly not how you want to use one of the first
is under
instances of
attack.
the Yule Scepter.
Radiant structures are fortified.
They are still going to rally around this mid lane, though. Of course, Mercury has the Arcane Rune, has a Yule Scepter of his own, and he's a Leshrac. Doesn't have the Diabolic Edict for another 10
Radiant's
seconds, but they
middle
can certainly
tower
look
is
to
under
put
attack.
some more pressure in onto some of these towers. And hell, if you could even make a rotation through to the Radiant Triangle with a Leshrac, you might be able to steal away some of PA's stacks that she needs to be able to
Radiant's
catch
middle
up.
Fallen.
I think they were a little quick
Dire's
on that
top
smoke,
tower
though.
is under
There
attack.
was still some lingering vision that might have spotted it out, so they're going to be playing very close to the tree line on all their important heroes. You can see Yoe popping the blur as he's looking to make the retreat back to the lane.
Well, they're onto the
He wants to
Ember.
put himself forward.
Carlo needs to try and disrupt the combination, but there's nothing he can do to protect his core. And he too will join him in the afterlife. Now Mavis has got to be cautious. Venturing a little bit too far forward to Crush once again. He's able to find the Yules to block off the retreat on the Grimstroke, and now you're just feeding away kills.
Like CZY is just having a solid enough game. He could buy the Aghanim Shard now if he wants to, especially considering he stole the Inkswell. But, I mean, if you can have a Blink Dagger on a Rubik at 17, 18 minutes, I think you'll take that every chance you get. We're speaking about Flawless. Well, the only one that's left with that scoreline is Unknown. Just sitting there extending his lead further and further. Level 14. Good 4,000 net worth ahead of a PA at 16 minutes. Pretty nutty.
So Unknown is having a very good game as TNC. Oh, this Observer Ward mid just giving them so much information on Summit. Hang on, what? Okay, Crush. He's still gonna be in trouble, even though they smoked under the ward.
Yeah.
I was just gonna highlight this ward. I just saw TNC trying to set up on the creep wave that Lesh almost went for another one on. If she did, she would have been killed off. Then the ward scouted out the smoke, but unfortunately, it looks like they were not paying attention. So a big pick off onto the Mars. We'll see if they can get anything out of this.
Radiant's bottom tower
See
is
Yoe.
under attack.
Oh
Dire's
no,
top
Mr.
tower is
Yoe.
under
Should be dead.
TPs are starting to rain it, but it will not matter. What? What is the damage?
Fallen before me.
Yeah, that's a Leshrac that's incredibly farmed. Level 12, had the extra point in the Pulse Nova. This is looking bad for TNC. Like, they are just crumbling under the constant pressure coming through from the Summit. And again, this is just on the back of what they drafted. You literally did not draft any early game aggression.
Radiant's
We were
bottom
saying that
tower is
the
under
Ember
attack.
Spirit was like the hero that could actually look to try and create some tempo, but it would have just resulted in a horribly lost lane. And
Dire's top
wouldn't you
tower
know it,
is
that's
under
exactly
attack.
what happened. You really have to set yourself up with the lanes to have any kind of mid-game potential or ganking potential, but it really felt like they were just saying, okay, well, we're going to lose all 3 lanes and then see how it goes from there.
It's not going to get any easier. You got Blink Dagger now completed on Crush. Inkswell was stolen as well. He's not going to have too long to work with it. Definitely one more fight. So this could be a potent combo. There we go. Crush is going to lead in. It'll be onto the Tusk instead. So they got to be perfect with the chain control. With this, the Snowball could come out to disrupt this, but not fast enough. And now Mavis, he's going to be chased down as well. They're going to telekinesis Crush further into the middle. If they can get the Soul Mine, which he hasn't even got leveled up, so there won't be a threat of the double doom.
Wash over this land.
Radiant's bottom tower
Oh
is
boy,
under
and they've
attack.
got a regen on the bottom side. So Mercury, he's just like, well, I got my Boots of Travel, I got my regen coming through from my Knock Tallies, Fairies Trinket, Deuces continuing to farm. They pop the Flesh Golem, not yet, on Trezam, but yeah, there we go, just to enable them to take Roche that much quicker.
Are they going to
And
take
how do
this
you fight
fight?
it? I mean, you've got Blink Dagger on the Tusk, that's all I'm really thinking that their mindset's going to be, but there we go, he frees up an item spot. He'll need to make the biggest play he can.
Oh, they might be able to get the Mars as well simultaneously. Doom's going to get dropped by the secret shop. Age is picked up from Unknown though. Krish is still going to run them back inside the pit, but he's out of mana. No way to escape. The claws just closing it onto the Embers. 2 for 1 in the end. They get the Aged Unknown. I mean, he's already flawless. It's not like it's going to get any easier now with the second life.
Yeah, like I said before, it would need to be literally perfect outplay coming through from TNC, and they attempted it, but it's just getting to this stage where you can't look to deal with this. It's a PA game, so I guess any situation is recoverable, but I'm not feeling optimistic. You're 5 levels behind on your carry, you're almost doubling the net worth right now, you've got to deal with that second life coming through with the Aegis, and he's just going to look to continue to farm until he's got the Skadi, and then I feel like they can close it out from there.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't even a second Aegis game. Like, you can finish with first.
Yeah, and I think the big concern for me is that TNC are not going to have the BKBs before the Skadi. If you had double BKB, one on your way, one on Krish, then maybe in a world I could see a team fight where they are able to edge a victory. Because that's really the big thing I'm looking at. Like, it's going to mitigate pretty much all of Lesh's damage. Mars is... I mean, he really hates versing BKBs. The duo supports on Summon aren't really going to be able to do much, but Skadi is definitely a great way to be able to go through the BKBs. So, they're probably also just too far ahead for it to really matter. As nice reactions from Crush.
There haven't been too many mistakes that they've made so far on Summit, right? Just that river movement from Crush around the smoke timing, but other than that, it's been pretty much flawless. You've got the Skadi coming out to the Medusa now. She's got level 3 ultimate skilled up. You've got a creep wave pushing into this bottom lane. Krish is going to do his best with the Maelstrom to be able to get a bit of D push happening, especially as this Leshrac is coming in, but unfortunately for him, he was just a little bit too slow with being able to clear out that range creep, so Lesh completes the TP, at least removes the back door. And that's actually a pretty big deal, considering if they wanted to use the Glyph of Fortification now, it would clear out a creep, a siege creep, but wanting to save that for the high ground, because this really feels like the game-deciding team fight that's set to come, and they're not ready on TNC. They don't have the items that they need for it.
Crush in a position to be able to counter-initiate. And like you said, not ready, and I don't know how you're going to kill Unknown twice in this fight. I think you have to give it up. They smoke like they want to take the fight. We haven't really seen the Soul... Well, yeah, he just leveled Soulbind, so potential for double doom. It's a long wraparound here for TNC.
I at least like that Yoe's continuing to farm and not just stand around inside the base, but
Full
what are you
wraparound.
exactly giving up?
They got the vision. How do you enter the fight, though? They're going to try Carl into the backlines, able to find the Rubik. Double Doom's out as well onto the Leshrac. It's honestly a decent start to the fight. They stole the Doom, though, so CZY, a little taste of his own medicine, back on to Mr. Carlo. And yeah, it was nice. It was a good combo. It was a beautiful wraparound, but in the end, at 3 for 1, you don't even bring down the Ages.
Nope. And CZY was just having some fun there, just under right-click Trezam, just saying, hey, I'm going to deny you, buddy, but thinking better of it. I mean, you are one game down, so you can't be clowning around it too much. Still able to claim that melee racks. You're going to be feeling very happy about that. Again, it's pretty rare that you're able to siege the high ground on the first Aegis timing, so the fact that Summit were able to get so much out of that engagement, they'll be feeling very solid. They've still got the Doom for the next attempt that they're looking to make. You can even see with Bok as well with his item build. He had a BKB queued up for the longest time, but it really does feel like the only way they're going to come back is off the back of a Summit misplay where they just extend a little bit too far. You're able to get that kick further back into the base underneath some tier 4s and maybe get a win based off of that.
Yeah, I really do not think this game is over. It has to be the perfect defense, but I think this is the beautiful thing about having a repositioning tool, especially because, again, I will always mention we've seen TIs and, you know, we saw what Spirit was able to do with the skewer as we hold that thought TNC. Smoke up. Doom still on cooldown. Bok's going to lead the charge, try and catch out Summit with their pants down. Maybe jumping Josam. It's going to be a lot of burst. Wowee.
Just a support, though. Like, it doesn't really matter.
Oh, it doesn't, but it would have been nice if Bok got the kill. Bok got the kill, like 372 gold, given over to the Tusk, close to the Scepter. And again, they can, like, they are itemizing. I really like what they're doing. Mavis is going Scepter, and of course we've spoken about the Tusk. So you're going to kick the Deucer back to the tier 4 towers, shards to lock her in. Maybe you can have
Doomer.
Doomer as well, or you can do maybe the Rubik or Crush, whoever can jump in to offer some assistance. And again, this forced repositioning, you will always have a way back into the game. I do not care how far behind you are. There's going to be outliers, but it will always give you a crafty way to be able to take a fight when you are behind.
Plus with the PA, right? We've seen plenty of
Bok
times
again,
that
they're all grouped up. They're going to jump into the middle, but the stolen Doom onto the Tusk. So Mercury can solo down Bok with ease and simultaneously Arena used from Crush. So, but to get rid of another easy pickings is Krish. Don't want to expend the BKB. Crush able to close the distance.
You feeling Crush or Krish this game?
I don't know. I'm trying not to get myself twisted.
Middle tower is under attack.
But I mean, Crush is looking.
Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
I'll try and find a pump, but it's just not coming. Crush is looking good. He's looking good. I'm quite impressed with his performance this game. And again, in game one, like, he had a very. It was just the last 10 minutes were a bit grim for Mr. Crush.
Just on your point before, I do like the way that they're itemizing Carlo.
You're always going to try and go for a solo kill. And Carlo as well, the mid lane. They're going to push him back into the tower. They don't have any cancel, though they stole the War Stomp.
So what I was saying before was the I like how they're itemizing for the potential to win, right?
Yes.
This isn't like, oh, what can we get that's value right now that's going to maybe stall the game out for another couple of minutes? No, they're like, okay, if we can get Aghanim Scepter on Grimstroke and Tusk, we could potentially win this game if they take a poor engagement into the high ground.
Which, how close are they to these items? Yeah, Grim's got Philosopher, so one more component. Tuskers needs a decent chunk of gold, and I guess high ground probably shouldn't be under threat without the Aegis. Maybe, though, you have the DD and also a fresh BKB on the Medusa to be able to kind of poke the high ground.
BKB's not going to be able to do that much, though, right? Like,
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
I don't know. Like, I'm not feeling super confident about the BKB, right? Because if you get kicked back underneath the tower, let's say, you get doomed. PA's all physical damage. As long as you're just not able to get off Stone Gaze, I think you're very satisfied with TNC of just going for that kind of gank attempt.
I think this is really looking to see how Summit can just close this game out. I know it's a kind of a weird thing to say. Let's see. I know it's kind of a weird thing to say, like, they got a 16,000 net worth lead, but again, this is an open qualified team, an inexperienced team. We kind of saw the issues come out. There's nice scan as well, top color. See if he's going to be in trouble or not. Mercury's setting up on this lane. Yeah, we did see kind of the inexperience really come out, though, in game one. Like, some of their decision-making towards the end really cost them, so it might be an issue for this newly formed roster to just kind of close out games when they're really far ahead.
Carlo. Oh no. Poor guy. He did a really good job of just skirting the edges of that team fight. He was using the Tumbler's Toy to get over a lot of trees.
The bottom lane, they're on the Phantom Assassin. Yo, he's going to be forced to pop the BKB.
You disrupt his farming, though. That's the important thing. And no BKB is another one. So they're just going to be like, all right, well, let's look to group up as much as we can, either to push up into the high ground or just contest into the next road, which Razam has scouted out. So again, it's just going to be up to some individual outplays coming through from TNC. Can Krish go for the Yopaj style snatch of the Aegis of the Immortal? Doesn't really feel like he has the freedom to do that.
How disappointed are you that Trezam didn't buy the Ag Shard? And do they give the shard to him now? Hate to see it.
I should. What's with the power trends, man? I don't know.
God, my guy's beefy though. 2400 health.
I guess you have the strength multiplier on the flesh golem, which will be nice. And if he's spamming out the decay, you can just tread switch every single time. Nearly MKB as well on unknown, so even a PA not going to be all that impactful. Very close to being able to pick up the Desolator on PA. 70 gold away.
This is the setup for TNC. They've got a ward outside the base, so they're going to see the backline. This will give them an opportunity. So Bot can jump in, kick back one. Again,
I desperate for the damage.
Yeah, I do not think you doom Deucer now with the Aegis. Maybe without Aegis you would do it, but now I think Mavis and Carlo at the same time they have to. You reckon they still do it?
I think they do if they kick her back into base, right? Because that means she's not going to be able to get Stone Gaze off, and by the time she respawns, you'll have Walrus kick back up to kick her into the fountain.
Okay. Got to be pretty perfect with your chain control. Bot's going to jump in. Alright, well, and a Crush follows suit as well. He gets the Ember Spirit. There's no way they can keep him alive, and that... Well, the theory crafting might not have worked out too well.
You can theory craft all you want, but if the execution isn't there, that's what happens. This is game.
Yep.
They can't come back from this. 30 seconds, you're going to lose the... Probably 2 lanes of racks here. I mean, you've only got the range racks left on the bottom side. You're always doing his best to try and clear it out, but... I mean, even if you get that kickback now, it feels like you're just too far behind to be able to even mount a comeback.
There you go. Second force to the barracks, soon to be claimed. They got one more fight left in them on TNC. Really not a lot expended. What was it, Arena, Stone Gaze. They're going to smoke up as well to make sure it's not easy for TNC. Box going to show.
There's the
kick back under the tower. What's the play now? Dark Portrait's out, but the damage, it's minimal. No one else is jumping unknown, so they deal with the Dark Portrait. Yowei, he wants to find the easier target into the Undying, but instantly looking to buy back and rejoin the fight. Unknown's gotta be cautious. There's the kickback. Okay. Aegis claimed.
Megas.
Alright though, Megas are gonna keep them locked in for the moment. Unknown still has the BKB to work with. Krish the backline though, but meanwhile defensive telekinesis offers the reposition for Unknown, but they're still hunting. They're still looking to take the fight. The Doom is out, but meanwhile, Crush, that's a beautiful arena onto 3, splitting the fight in half, so the follow-up is lacking. Bok's gonna kick the Medusa into the middle of the fight, but that is exactly where Unknown wants to be positioning. The buybacks are starting to rein in, but I don't think it matters anymore. You had this one opportunity, and not, okay. Oh, well, they'll get her. They're gonna get her in the end, but, like, the consequences... It's pretty grave.
Yeah, I mean, you've still been megged. 3 buybacks expanded on Summit. I'm a little surprised that Lesh ended up doing his. I know he's got the Boots of Travel to potentially rejoin the team fight, but you got megas. Just don't give them the win condition like you did in the last game. Very nicely done by CZY to put his own life on the line to be able to get that initial telekinesis off onto the Medusa. And at least this time, she won't buy back. He won't buy back. I'm putting that out in the world. But speaking of things that are being bought, Yowei, he's queued up our favorite item. Let's see if he can get there anytime soon. It's going to be rough into Megas. You don't have the greatest heroes at being able to clear out these creep waves. Carlo nearly died just trying to defend a single lane. Are you on board yet with the offlane Tusk is a terrible idea mentality that I have?
Are scanning.
I think they played the lane interestingly. I was quite surprised they didn't play for pools, which
Yep.
I think that would have looked very different.
It would have looked even worse if they didn't get the mana burn creep as well. Like
That's
they got
true.
very lucky there.
That is, yeah, that's very true. I don't know. You have a lot more hate, one way to put it, for the Mr. Offlane Tusk, and I'm not there just yet. I think there are other things that kind of prove to be an issue for TNC. We might have one last fight for them. They got everything up. Doom up in 5, so they will. I think really one thing we overlooked in the draft is that if they fall behind in their lanes, how do they catch up on TNC? And we started to see it, and we mentioned it, like their tower taking potential and in general just objective taking potential with a poor Phantom Assassin, it really proved to be an issue, because then you can't really play with this tempo controlling threat that they were wanting with the Grim Ember, so your way back into this game is very difficult. It's kind of off the back of Summit misplaying very heavily and being out of position across the map, so it's a bit of an issue.
That's why I was so gung-ho about the Lina pick, right? Just because you're not going to lose the lane. You're going to have a tower taker. You're going to have
Radiant's
someone that
middle
can
tower is
scale
under
against the
attack.
Medusa, and they just didn't do it.
Look at Trazam's positioning. There's a bit split for the team, so it should be a free kill onto the Undying.
Radiant's middle
Who's
tower
TPing?
is
It's going to be
under
Mercury. The pop to Lincoln's
Dude,
Doom is
what
out,
back?
protected for the BKB for the moment, but Yolway used his early as well. So Lesh still going to tick out in the end, and wait, they kicked him out of Arena. So everyone lives on TNC. They want to go back in. They've got the ward of the high ground, so they're stalking Summit. Can they all make it out? Yolway jumping Crusher, BKB protected for the moment. Once again, splitting them away from the Medusa. Refresher's going to be popped, so offering Crush the defensive factor with the BKB if required.
All the while, though, tier 4 towers are getting hit by Megas,
Radiant's
so you're going to
middle
need to
tower
defend
is
at
under
some
attack.
point. It's pretty early to be up against Megas, so, you know, this lane creeps don't do too much against them. They're not at the point where they're going to be scaling yet. And now, 35 minutes in, you've got the siege creep wave, so I feel like you need to deal with that before you're able to make another aggressive movement. But, I mean, you're in a rough spot. Nothing that you do feels right on TNC right now, just because of how far behind you are.
Summit. They're playing under the ward. They're going to look to blow up the Medusa. Chris dealing with the backline supports as well. Look at Unknown's damage. Rips apart the Doom. Yolway is really hesitant to jump. Finally, he's going to show his cards. It's a lot of damage onto the Medusa for the moment. The man is being burnt, but Yolway's charging to the middle. One more shot. Gets the Phantom Assassin, and with that kill, that will be all she wrote for our second game. We are going the distance here for our first series of the Summer Tour.
Now, that was a lot more like I expected in game number 1, right? Summit, they just have the far superior draft in my eyes, and they didn't make any huge mistakes. You know, there was a surprise one, of course, but that was after they'd got the Megas, so it didn't feel quite so bad. Still, though, there were a couple of shaky decisions there, but I really want TNC in game number 3 to focus a lot more about the lanes, because I mentioned before the issues with the Tusk. Terrible right-click damage for the laning stage if you're playing it as a position 3. You're not able to just shove the lane out, because even if you are, you're sharing the experience with your support. You've got multiple ways with the enemy's support to be able to kill you. I felt like they were way too passive on the bottom side as well, considering PA Grimstroke is a very strong lane if you want it to be. And then you save Krish's hero for last, which is fine. He's the new addition. But you banned out some of his heroes yourself, and the enemy team just got rid of the rest. So I think they just need to put a whole lot more focus onto the first 20 minutes of this game. Otherwise, we could see TNC dropping their first series of this DPC.
And I think as a team, the new roster for them, and with the poor performance they had in 2-2, I think you have to start building some momentum, because if you lose this first series, confidence starts
Against
to
an
drop
open qualifier team.
against an open qualifier team, which a lot of people honestly would be expecting TNC to beat. It does not really matter kind of who's on the roster. That's regardless about that though. Summit played this game exceptionally well, and if you're looking at it in this avenue, you say Summit, you demolished game 2. You're in prime position to take game 1 as well. What do you do now in the bans? Do you get rid of Medusa in the first phase? Do you leave it in the pool? Do you maybe go for a different opener to deal with the potential of the Medusa? Because Summit, I feel like they are now in the driver's seat. That there needs to be an answer to this Medusa.
Yeah, I mean, they're banning out some of the heroes that are going to be able to deal with it, but like, just compare game 1 and game 2, right? Game 1, they banned out the Invoker with the last pick of the second phase of bans. This time it was able to last until the very end. I don't understand why they went for the PA when they did on Yoe if they weren't going to get aggressive. You knew what the enemy offlane was, and they just went this PA instead and did nothing with it. I think if you picked up the Invoker there, again, like Krish just doesn't seem comfortable with the Pango, because this is 2 games now where I feel like Pango would have been an amazing pick. You need something that's going to deal with the Medusa both early as well as late, and I feel like they've had opportunities to do it in both games and they haven't taken advantage of it, even though game 1, as a result of different factors, still ended up going their way.
Summit, I really feel like they're in the driver's seat now in this series heading into game 3. Kind of, we'll see. The ball is in the corner of TNC. What adjustments are they going to make? Is the Deuce going to be banned out? They're going to leave it in the pool. Do they feel like they can make a lineup that can beat this unknown Medusa? Because I feel like we might have 3 Deuce games in a row, especially with how well Unknown is playing on it and how well Summit are playing around it as well. But our first series back to DPC, we get to go the distance. Game 3 coming up after the break.